So now this week we're going to talk about putting everything together and writing a forecast. So that basically means you're trying to figure out what the weather is going to do in the future. Well, if you don't know what it's doing now, you're not going to do a real good job with that. So most meteorologists begin by looking at what's happening now. So I got an image here, hourly weather forecast coming up. This is basically for Mount Vernon. So let's take a little peek. What is happening now? Well, currently we have a cold front that's well south of Ohio, kind of becomes stationary there. Fairly good size high, 1023. And one of the things I wanted to notice, this is summer. This is late July, and temperatures in North Dakota in the early afternoon are in the 60s. That is cool air. And if you went up north of that into Canada, you get some 50-degree readings. So for this time of year, these are well below normal temperatures. Now, go south of that, south of the front, temperatures are well into the 80s and 90s. So we have a front. So now we know that front is something of interest. And we have a lot of north winds coming in to Ohio. So those two to me tell me, okay, I've got dew points right now in the upper 60s, temperatures in the low 80s, maybe even upper 70s. Partly cloudy conditions, it looks like. So that is a beginning point for this forecast. But I also want to know, what's the beginning point aloft? So here's the jet stream. Again, a pretty strong jet across to the north, moving out of northwest U.S., ridging here. Look at this ridge. That is a large anticyclone here. Very much clockwise flow. For this time of year, that is huge. It is part of the North American monsoon system, but it is an extremely impressive one this year. And there's a big one over the Gulf of Mexico as well. So there's obviously some kind of low here in the eastern part of Canada. We know low pressure aloft means the air is colder below it. So we have colder air in this area, warmer air down here. We are between the two in Ohio right now with a jet coming out of the northwest. So we want to look at maybe an upper air sounding to see what's going on. I figured I'd pick Detroit. I could have done Cincinnati as well. But what it showed me was that, hey, there's a fairly thick, cool layer here. Some clouds probably occurring 3,000-4,000 feet up, and another batch maybe at about 7,000 or 8,000 feet up. Other than that, it's dry all the way up. And cool, so it's fairly stable. Winds are out of the northwest, but they come off pretty quickly at the low levels and get very light as that high is moving in. Also, this is a morning sounding, and notice how close dew point and temperature were. We know that fall can form if temperature and dew point get to be about the same. So it looks like that could be a problem tomorrow morning. We have high pressure moving in and all that. Well, now, one of the things I want to do is extrapolate this forward. I need to know how that jet is going to change in the next 12 to 24 hours. Well, I'm going to show you one model. It's called the Global Forecast System. It looks at everything we've just talked about. It tries to draw first a detailed analysis of what is happening, and then runs a computer program, model simulation, which is an approximation because we can't solve the variables. It's one of many different approximations that are out there. And also the approximations begin with how accurate are we on what we're seeing initially. Because after all, you're starting to model out with some kind of initial conditions. So how does that look? Well, here we see that jet. Big high pressure here. And the jet moving. This is the initial condition. Looks a lot like what we've been seeing. And I can move forward in time to the afternoon here. We have the jet north of you. This is tonight. Again, moving through. Another strong jet streak that seems to be coming into your area for first part of tomorrow. But one of the things I wanted to notice was the height lines actually are getting lower. So the air mass under you is getting cooler. So that whatever you got to today, tomorrow might be the same or a little bit cooler, even with direct sunshine. Notice the high. Boy, this high is big in the central part of the U.S. So you're probably getting a lot of heat out there. Notice I haven't taken a look at anything in the lower levels yet for tomorrow. All I've done is look at what appears to be a very strong jet moving through, really strong off the eastern United States. Now, if I go back here, the model has the ability of also forecasting an 850 millibar temperature and forecast. So let's just take a look at that. And I want to look out 24 hours, which would basically get me out to tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow morning, actually. So this would be tomorrow morning. What I'm seeing is that high that was a little further to you, a little more north, has gotten closer to you. These are 850 millibar temperatures. Well, here, this says the 850 millibar temperature is going to be 12 degrees Celsius. I can go back here and say, well, what was it this morning at 850? Oh, it was about, what, 13 or 14 degrees Celsius. So maybe a degree or two cooler. What we don't see is no precipitation around whatsoever. And interestingly, what I'm noticing is that 1512 hangs in the area, high pressure over you, so probably fairly light winds. So really, this is telling me tomorrow looks like a wonderful day. Slightly below normal temperatures, light winds, relative humidity fairly low, maybe a little bit of fog in the morning because we've had a lot of rain, but that's it. So if you go back, what I want to show you is also there's more than one model. So we can look at other models here with this. And we can look at what they call the spaghetti. So this is the same exact model, except now it's saying, well, my initial conditions might be slightly off. Oh yeah, my equations that I'm approximating, maybe I'll try approximating them slightly differently. So we come up with this. We'll just look at North America. We have some heights in the middle of the atmosphere here. Oh yeah, they look pretty doggone close, don't they, right now? A little bit of deviation out over there, but this tells me the model has a really good handle on this. But just to give you an idea, we'll go back and we'll look at the same thing much further out in the future. 384 hours, 10 days out or more. More than, actually 14, what is it, 16 days, I think. So, we're trying to make a forecast with that one. That tells me that the model has gotten to where it just has no clue at the moment. So yes, it's making a forecast. You can get a deterministic model forecast, but this is telling me there's a lot of possibilities. One's showing me a trough, lower pressures out here, and more lower pressures over here in the eastern United States. Maybe I would lean that way, but then there's another one kind of trying to build a ridge in here. So kind of interesting to see how the models do this. And there are a ton of these models. I can go back all the way through to model guidance here, and I just want to show you that we got not just this model, North American Mesoscale Model High Resolution. The GFS is approximately running, I believe now, at 6 kilometer resolution. The NAM High Res is running about 2 kilometers. So we're looking more in thunderstorm capabilities here. I have an HRRR, which literally is updated hourly, and I can get that down to a half kilometer at times. And that will give you some really detailed thunderstorm clusters. May not be perfectly accurate, but it'll do it. It'll run hourly too. So it's constantly looking to see what the most current weather is. It incorporates such things as Doppler radar and their winds. It incorporates the satellite and its winds. It'll incorporate the current observations from ASOS. So all this goes into making a forecast. So you just got some little glimpse at it, and we just talked about tomorrow's forecast. And what did tomorrow's forecast actually look like? Well, high of about 78. High today, they went with 81. So slightly cooler. Dew point of 58, pretty dry. And we look at winds. We saw the high to our west, more northwest wind, but fairly light. Amount of cloud cover, pretty doggone low. So yeah, everything we talked about is what's being forecast tomorrow. So hope you got a little bit out of this, and let me know if you have any questions.